Michael Slowey.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Michael Slowey. I'm a reproductive endocrinologist. I have 2 board certifications, and I've been building families for over 20 years. I'm here to speak in opposition to Bills S-83 and 457. These bills are a threat to the health of women, the well-being of families, and the dreams of couples trying to start a family. Both of these bills would define a human being as a person of fertilization, which would create a variety of restrictions that would limit the reproductive and family-building choices of hundreds of thousands of South Carolina residents. Specifically, these bills would end our ability to perform in vitro fertilization, provide effective contraception, and effectively treat abnormal pregnancies, such as life-threatening ectopic pregnancies. They would also detrimentally impact the residency programs in obstetrics and gynecology in this state, and that would impact the care of the residents of South Carolina. Human reproduction is extremely complex and it's extremely inefficient. The chance of getting pregnant in a given month under optimal conditions is only about 20 to 25%. And nearly 70% of all conceptions are lost before implantation. From implantation on, somewhere between 15 to 50% are lost, depending on the age of the woman. Therefore, under normal conditions, only a small percentage of our conceptions actually result in a delivery. Treatments for infertility are highly specialized and individualized. By the time I get to using assisted reproductive technologies, it's because simpler treatments have failed or simply not possible. IVF is our most effective treatment and has resulted in about 1.5% of the births in our country at this time. It's not possible to determine the reproductive potential of an egg or a sperm without destroying it first. Therefore, in our process, we inseminate multiple eggs and hope that good prognosis embryos will be created. Yet because of the inefficiency of human reproduction, it tells us that
you're 2 minutes. If you want it up there.
Yes, sir. An embryo is neither a person nor a property, but an entity deserving special respect. However, that responsibility for determining what happens to an embryo lies with the progenitors of the embryo, not with the state. An embryo is a cluster of cells that on occasion has the unique potential to grow into a human. Given there's an uncertainty that any particular embryo will develop into a person, it is unreasonable and imbalanced to give constitutional rights to a fertilized egg or embryo. Therefore, we urge you to vote no. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
I have a question.
Senator Martinberg.
The process by which, and I'm not sure that you do this, but let me just ask this in general terms, is I understand that sometimes when couples are seeking fertility treatments, that the process may include gathering several already impregnated embryos that you end up freezing them and waiting, and then
Correct.
you would implant maybe one, and then if that worked, great. If you didn't, you could implant another one later, or maybe they want to have a sibling at a later time. You would already have some stored in your facilities. Is that, I mean, is that the process?
For some individuals, yes, because again, because of the inefficiency of the process. Some women have very, very few normal eggs. For example, the average 40-year-old, maybe only 5% of her eggs are actually normal. That's why pregnancy rates are very, very low in our women in our 40s. But yes, we do have the capability of freezing embryos that have the potential. But again, if you look at overall the number of embryos, and this actually mirrors what goes on, and it goes on in the fallopian tube normally. Only a very, very small percentage of our conceptions are actually able to produce people.
Right, but what, I understand that. No, but thank you. Some things I don't understand, so you gotta explain them to me. But what I'm getting at, I guess, is that in given cases with given couples that you're trying to help or bring life into the world, you may actually have in your facility stored these fertilized embryos that would, if this bill passed, would you at that point in time be kidnapping or something? I mean, you'd be holding.
Well, we would. Yeah, we have them. Yeah,
right.
We have them. I don't know what this would create as far as the legal view of them. But yes, we certainly do have them right now.
Right, and I mean, and I guess what I'm asking, that's just part of the normal process of fertility treatment, is
That's
that
correct.
you would attempt to fertilize multiple eggs at a given time, not knowing how many it might take to successfully get a child.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Senator Maury?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Doctor, I was interested, and I understand the term you used was a cluster of cells
That's correct.
that occasionally becomes a person. You made a compelling statistic to support that. I understand what you're saying. So at what point, I guess, in your view, would you say that life begins?
Well, it depends how you want to define life. Just look at any cell, any living cell is a life. Whether it's a skin cell, a brain cell. You know, a sperm is a cell, but it's not a person. An egg is a cell, but it's not a person. A skin cell is not a person. So, you know, it is, and maybe I'm not the one that, as a scientist, how do you say? There is life. Every one of these cells has life in them.
I guess I was asking because by implication, you said it's a cluster of cells that sometimes becomes a person. You're saying it's not a person. By implication, you're saying at that stage, in your view, it's not a person.
Absolutely not, no.
And that's why I'm asking, when does it become a person? I mean, that's a little different question, but in your view, when does that cluster of cells get to a place that you say, okay, now it's a person?
Well, the obvious one is when it's born, but I think when you look at the time when an embryo can actually survive, obviously embryos aren't going to be able to survive outside the womb until, with certain exceptions without help, until you get 3/4 of the way through gestation. That may be a little bit strict because now with our technology we're able to save fetuses at least around 6 months seems to be the lower end where we can do decently with it. So that's why we go. Where can we get save this to? Where can we save it? Where can we make a living person that has at least some potential to do something in life with?
So your definition would be viability?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's about where I would go.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you.